Welcome back to Just Talking. We have a great show for you today. We have an excellent musician here. It's Johnny Hatton. Johnny, nice to see you today. Thanks so much for talking with us. Well, you are an excellent musician. Let's hear all about it. How did you get involved in music?
Well, my dad was a violinist, and my earliest memories, when I lived in northern Missouri, he would play violin and viola all over the place and be playing and then walking around and playing his etudes. He was a symphonically trained violist and violinist, so I just wanted to be like him. I was 6 years old, and I wanted a violin really bad, so he got me one. I remember it's my first memory that I can remember is him pulling that out of a paper bag. It was a half-size fiddle that he got in Columbia, Missouri. There was a violin maker down there named J.C. Ashlock, and I still have an Ashlock full-size violin that I played forever since, I don't know, maybe junior high or someone. But every time I want to feel happy, I remember that violin coming out of that brown paper bag. It was about, that big, maybe a foot long.
Was it tough to play to get started to learning how to play the violin or string instruments?
Well, it's a tough instrument, yeah, because there's no frets, so you have to know exactly. But after a while, you get used to that. Your fingers just know where to go. It's like the string bass. There's no frets there either. You just remember the positions. And but I couldn't read right away, and so I'd have Dad play the exercise. He would put it in front of me, and I said, "Can you play this for me? Maybe we need to play it." And so, oh, okay, that's how it goes. I guess I had some kind of memory then. I don't anymore.
Why should people get involved in music in the school level?
Oh man, well, if you have some talent and you hear things in your head and music going around, you should learn to play something. But if you're thinking rock and roll, I recommend the bass, because all the kids go, "Oh, I want to be a rock star." And they look on the stage or on TV or a movie and they see a bunch of guys with guitars. One of those guys is a bass player. However, they don't realize that. They just think, "Oh, I want to play guitar." No, learn the bass guitar. You'll always have a gig, because nobody took it up.
When you came out of high school, did you just go to different bands? Did you form your own band? How did that come about?
Well, we had his band. We were called. My first band was the Marauders.
Okay.
You named your band after cars a lot. The Stingrays, the Corvettes, the Eldorados. Well, we were the Marauders, because Mercury had a compact version, called the Mercury Marauder. So that was our first band, and we played a lot of teen dances. The Catholics would always have a dance on Wednesday, and it was in the gym, and the term sock hop, that's because you can't wear shoes in the gym. So everybody's dancing in their stocking feet, but I'm trying to think. That's kind of stuff we did. And then we all graduated and went our separate ways. And then in college, I got into a band called the Morticians. And we dressed all in black with capes. Our guitar player's wife made us black capes with red silk linings. So the curtain would open and we'd be all, black hats, black capes, all in black. And then at the count of something, we'd all flash open these red capes and just go into something like, I don't know, it was the Beatles era by then. The Morticians.
Is that true? You played with Elvis Presley at one time?
I played one gig with Elvis, and it was in Kansas City. I moved down there after college, and I had been playing. I was playing in this big band jazz band called the Kansas City Kicks Band, and they were all the top guys in town, the best players, the Reeders. We backed up Liza Minnelli. We backed up Clark Terry, the jazz trumpet player. The Righteous Brothers came in town with a box of music, a piano player, and the two of them. So they pick up a rhythm section. So that was one of the gigs I did. And then the Elvis show came in town. "Hey, can you play the Elvis show?" "Sure." And it was a Saturday, I think, usually on a Saturday, but they call it show and rehearsal in the Musicians Union vernacular. Which is really rehearsal and show, but they go, "Hey, I got a show and a rehearsal." So you show up at maybe noon or early in the afternoon, and you run play the set down, and Joe Gershel was the conductor. He's a famous arranger, and did all of Elvis's arranging when he was in the Hilton, the Las Vegas Hilton years. And this is like early 70s, so it was at that time. And really nice charts, all hand copied. And so at the end of the rehearsal, Elvis wasn't at the rehearsal, nor was any of the Sweet Inspirations. They were not there, and the Jordanaires. None of the band was there, and which is typical. You know, they know the show. So it was just Joe Gershel and a bunch of like the hired band. We did play the 2001 theme, bom, 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 da, da, boom, 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 and the lights are dimming, but the place lit up like, you're from the Midwest, you know, when lightning strikes at night, boom, suddenly it's instantly daylight for a second, except that daylight lasted for the whole, you know, intro. There was, all the lights were down, but the place lit up like a candle. Wow. And it was in the arena, the sports arena. And so Elvis comes on stage, and you hear in the backdrop behind me the drummer going, it's Ronnie Tutt. The octopads, he had them all. There they were. It's the first time I ever seen them. Wow. And it was Ronnie Tutt. It was all the guys from the Vegas show, Jerry Sheff.
So what year was that when he came to town?
It was 71. I found out. I couldn't remember. I knew it was somewhere. But now there's videos. Elvis in Kansas City, 1971. There's a lot of videos posted now. But I couldn't find myself in there. I know I'm back there in the dark somewhere, holding the P bass.
Well, I always wondered what, for the string bass, it's such a huge instrument. Do you carry it around? Is it always at different stages? How do you get around with the string bass?
Well, for my local gigs here in LA with different rockabilly groups and jazz bands and different things like that. In fact, last week I had my first gig this year with Phil Crosby. He's Bing Crosby's grandson, and he's a cool dude, man. And he has a nice little jazz book, and we read standards down. So I figured out how I could stuff my bass into my Mustang convertible. I just jam the neck back over the package tray, and the body sits on the front seat, and I kind of tilt it a little bit so I can see, and I pull the mirror down, the rear, the mirror on the visor.
Sure.
And I can adjust it so I can see out the side window. But I can get that in there with a small amp. I couldn't do it with a big amp. I have a Suburban too, so I can haul.
Oh, good.
Sometimes I've had as many as 4 basses in there, because if you do a session here and then there's a next is jazz, and then maybe they want a rockabilly feel here, and then you got a gig downtown that wants jazz. So sometimes you need a bunch of basses. And then on Setzer, they ship everything in they've got 2 semi trucks.
Oh, wow.
Huge cases for the basses, real sturdy cases.
I love that Brian Setzer band. How did that come about, or how did you jump in on it? Is it fun working with them? Let's hear it.
Oh, it's total gas. And I have so much fun. He gives me free rein to be a knucklehead on stage. You know, a couple of times he had to reel me in a little bit. Like a good part of our bit is when I bring my bass out in front. We do the Stray Cats tunes, the street beats, and the rest of the guys go down to the dressing room. The horn section takes a break, and they drink all the beer. So I remember getting off the stage, just being thirsty and working over there's no beer left. So I'd have to open one before the gig, and sometimes that would be gone. So I remember I had one bit where I would just come over to the edge of the stage and lay the bass down and stick the neck out into the crowd. And I'd point to them. And I'm still slapping, and they're doing the fingerings. The guys are grabbing the neck and all this. And finally Brian says, don't do that anymore. I don't know. It must have sounded horrible.
Well, I also did listen. Is that true? Also, you played with Bob Dylan. Is that correct?
We did a telethon with him and I'm in a local band. I've been with a band called the Hodads for, I'm thinking 20 years or more. with a local LA band. We started out playing surf music and getting a lot of beach gigs. Conventioneers come in town. We're going to LA. We're going to have a beach party. So we'd play, Beach Boys and Jan and Dean and stuff like that. Oh, Dylan, yeah, that band got a gig being the studio band behind a Jewish telethon called the Chabad Telethon. And it was a fundraiser for Jewish charities. And a lot of good players were in the band. So Dylan came on, and we had to back him up.
Wow.
So that's my one gig with Bob Dylan. But
wow. One I loved was that Fantasia 2000, just because it devoted to music as well. And people that aren't exposed to a lot of that music. I think that was in Chicago, was it? The Chicago, or no?
I tell you what, they recorded all the musical stuff was recorded earlier. And when we did that show, all we did was stand there.
Oh, really?
And between takes, because then they went to the cartoon and the music. So the perception was that orchestra's playing the music. No, it was all pre-recorded.
Well, let's promote a lot of your stuff too. I think you've recorded a CD. Let's hear all about that.
CD, Gospel Bop. I decided I was going to do a gospel CD. It's maybe my only one. So it's just kind of paying tribute to the man upstairs, but it's rocking. It's a lot of rockabilly in there. Bernie Dressel's playing drums. He was Setzer's drummer for 15 years. Great guitarist named Fino Roverato, does a lot of recording in town. He's influenced by Danny Gatton, all you guitarists. And Doug Livingston on keyboards, who is an astounding musician. He was with, I'm trying to think, big Donna Summers. He played in her band, touring band, and among others on keyboards. He also is playing steel guitar.
And where can they get the CD?
JohnnyHatton.com.
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 And I believe you have a book too.
I do.
Let's hear about that.
The book is called Rockabilly Bass. It's published by Hal Leonard, huge publisher in your neck of the woods, Milwaukee. They're world famous. They come to NAMM show every year, and I'll see my book on the bass. They have bass books, a big rack of them, and I'll see mine down here at the bottom, and I'll pull it out and put it up at the top rack, put that one down. And
so then, what's the book about?
Oh, the book teaches beginning level slap bass, how to play the rock. It starts with that's the snap, and then here's the slap, and now you put them together: snap, slap. Pretty soon you're doing that. You start slow, simple. You learn to read notes. You have goose eggs and quarter notes with stems, And I encourage people to do that, because if I didn't read music, I couldn't do the Setzer gig, because it's all like, all right, pull out number 289. What? You've never seen that before. Okay. And then you look it over and you play it. And everybody in the band does that. The sax players, the trumpets, they're all stone cold sight readers. So, so many people, I've seen so many rockabilly bass players with really lousy technique with the left hand. You're supposed to have, we call it déclaw. Déclaw. It looks like a claw. That's your, and I see people going like this, and they do okay, but this is so much, if you know your positions and know how to, it's like playing a saxophone. You push this button, that note plays. Well, same with the claw. You put this finger down, that one, they'll all be in the right place. So I approach it that way, so you can learn to read. And by the end of the book, there's charts from the Setzer show. I've done takedowns of Johnny Cash tunes, and I got the blues in every key, and it's all notated.
People want to learn more, your website, if we could plug your website.
Yeah, JohnnyHatton.com, please. And you can get the CD, the book. You can read all about my history, my bio.
We thank you so much for talking with us today. Again, excellent work, and thank you so much for talking with us today.
Jason, thank you so much. You had a ball.